Welcome back to Builds Not Projects. I'm Spencer. In this week's video, we're going to be working on the Odyssey that we broke on the Grind Hard weekend. So we're going to be going through and replacing the broken jack shaft parts with our newly purchased full-priced Go Power Sports axle and bearings. If you're from Go Power Sports, hit us up. Also going to be changing gearing around a little bit. We're going to go to a smaller 11-2 sprocket on the jack shaft. Try to gear it down a little more because gearing was kind of an issue as well. So we'll be doing that. This is just another 24-2 sprocket. So we'll get started. So both of the brake hubs are off of the jack shaft now. I had welded those on before because we couldn't keep them from spinning on the shaft and it was just making a bunch of noise mostly. This time I'm going to not weld them on. I don't think. I'm going to try to just see if maybe I can get a better clamp with the little screws. The way I put them on the first time, the rotors were blocking the screws, so I couldn't tighten them down very effectively. So we're going to try putting them on a different way this time. Got a bearing mount plate installed up here. Just used another piece of the same angle that I used to mount the exhaust. And then put this big fat plate on the top. If I can, I'm going to try to squeeze two bearings in the middle here just for added bearing support. But if not, I'll just put one. So I'm going to start assembling this thing and see what we can get on there. So we're going to take a short break from the building and talk about our first sponsor of the channel, Rogue Fab. They sent us a new die for our next build, as well as this really nice shirt and hat. They also sent this pretty cool steel powder-coated logo to go on the side of our bender, which will match perfectly on the black and red bender. And then they also sent us this nice big Rogue Fabrication shop banner. So we'll be finding a place to put this thing here soon. Not too sure where we're going to hang it up in here yet, but we'll find a good spot for it. And we'll be putting all this stuff to good use. So the rear chain stuff is all back together. This chain is on here just temporarily. This is the original one off the street bike. I ground the little O-ring nubs off of the link so I could put a normal half link on it for now so we can test drive it and make sure that the gearing works the way that we want it to now that we geared it down another 3 teeth on that sprocket, so it should change a decent amount. But I can't run it without a half link currently, so we'll have to redo all of that if we like the gearing the way it is. I just want to make sure that it's the way that we like it before we take the time to cut idlers off and reposition them to take up slack or give more slack. Only ended up putting one bearing in back here, mainly because there was no room to put two. I tried and there just wasn't enough space, but that shouldn't really matter much at all. Definitely nice to have a straight jack shaft in there. It's the first time it's ever had a straight jack shaft to start with, so that's good. Gonna try to mess with the shifter a little bit, put some heavier springs on it, and see if that helps. And then we're gonna go send it. So that was pretty much just first and second gear. It actually stayed in second now with those heavy springs I put on there. They're actually off a snowmobile exhaust just for holding them together. So that seems to work good. Gearing feels way better. It's actually low enough now to where you're not like bogging and then having to rev it way out and then you'd shift and then it would bog again before you got back into the power. So the gearing's definitely good. Gonna end up redoing that chain and stuff so we can actually tension it properly and have a good O-ring chain on there that doesn't have any half links in it. So we'll be getting it back in the shop and doing that here soon. So after giving this thing a good little test rip, discovered that the chain setup is going to work well. Just gotta redo the idlers and such to be able to slacken up the chain some more to take another link out. So we'll be doing that later on. The shifter worked better, but still for some reason towards the end it started popping out again. So there's a possibility it could be a transmission issue, not too sure. May try stiffening up those springs a little bit because they are kind of like in the loosest spot that I could get them. So I might try stiffen those up or lightening the shifter because it's pretty beefy at the bottom and real heavy. So probably try that first before I put a transmission in it, but we'll see.
Well, we finally got a drone. So it'll be a lot of me either crashing into the weeds or actually getting some 6 shots. Subscribe to find out.
So after ripping this thing some more, the spring tension's good. It's definitely a transmission issue, so it just spits it right out a second. So we'll be addressing that when the motor is out of the frame for getting painted, which is going to be coming real soon. We're going to start tearing this thing apart and go through and paint everything up, as well as kind of redo this one chain on this side just to make it to where it all lines up correctly, get rid of that half link and stuff in there. So we'll be moving some idlers and stuff around, kind of redesigning that a little bit. Also got some new front shocks on order, so whenever those show up we'll be doing some new upper mounts and everything, solid up that front end. It'll be a lot better. I think that's pretty much it for this video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button to stick around to see this thing get all prettied up, so in that way when we're breaking it at least it looks better. So stay tuned.